name is Michael Hunnicutt. I'm doing informative speech for Miss Ellington's English 155. Today's date is April the 12th, 2018. So I did my speech on diabetes. There's over 30 million Americans that suffer with diabetes. Diabetes is pretty much when the pancreas doesn't work. There's two types of diabetes. Type 1 is when the pancreas doesn't work at all. Doctors can't explain why it doesn't work. Type 2 is when the pancreas isn't producing as much insulin as it should. With type 1, you're going to be insulin dependent, and there's a couple different ways that you can take insulin. It comes in vials like this, and you just draw it up with a needle, and there's certain spots that you can give yourself a shot, like the stomach, back of the arm, the thigh. And this particular one is a slow acting, which you take once a day, and it lasts for 24 hours. You also, most type 1 diabetics have to take a fast acting you take for each meal, and you base your dosage of the fast acting on your blood sugar level at that time and how many carbs you're going to eat. If you're a type 2, you could be insulin dependent, but most of them can take oral medication, and this is just an example. It's metformin. A lot of type 2 diabetics can control it with diet exercise. Type 2 diabetes is avoidable. It's usually people that don't eat well, don't exercise. Type 1 usually appears in children, but it can appear in adults. Also, if you're diabetic, other things you have to do is you have to take your blood sugar, which means you put a test strip in this monitor. You have to prick your finger and you test your blood. It's usually good to do it in the mornings, before and after you eat, and at night before you go to bed. So whatever your blood glucose level is, that's how you judge how much insulin you're going to take. Also, instead of having a vial like this for type 1 diabetics, you can also, it comes in these flex pens, which is a little bit easier, because with these you have to draw your insulin up. With these, it's just got a dial, and you put it on how much insulin you want to take. You put a disposable needle on it, and you give yourself a shot in the same places. Whether you're type 1 or type 2, diet and exercise does affect both. The lower carbs you eat, the lower your sugar will be, but stress does cause your sugar levels to raise. Adrenaline does cause it to raise. And a lot of diabetics end up becoming a lot sicker than normal people because it's an attack on their immune system. So it's kind of hard for them to stay well if they get sick. It's a lot easier for somebody without diabetes to get better. So if you are diabetic or you become a diabetic, the best thing to do is research your foods, research the type of medicines. Definitely see the doctor, because some long-lasting effects of high blood sugars are kidney failure. You could go blind. They could end up amputating one or both of your legs, because with diabetes, feet are a big concern. The doctor will tell you to cut your toenails right, not straight edges. They have certain diabetic socks, diabetic shoes just for your feet, because once they get hurt, if you step on a nail outside, it may not ever heal if you have diabetes. Some of the short-term effects of having diabetes, if your blood sugar gets too high, you could go into a diabetic go into diabetic shock. But if it drops, you could go into a diabetic coma. So if you do become a diabetic, just watch what you eat, exercise, and see your doctor regular. Make sure you're taking your medicines the way you're supposed to. Make sure you're testing your blood sugars the way you're supposed to. And just make sure you do your homework on the illness, what you can do to help it, and just get blood work done regularly so you know where your levels are.